Hey there. Tonight we're going to drift back in time. Not to the Wild West in the movies with its quick-draw cowboys and heroic music, but to the real Wild West. The one that was dusty and dry, where the sun was sharp and the nights were cold, where nothing came easy and every day was a little bit hard. It's a place where people worked from the moment the sun came up and kept working until the stars came out, where food was simple and chores never stopped, and where staying clean wasn't even a goal most of the time. So if you're lying in bed, trying to fall asleep, you can just listen and let the story carry you. Don't worry about following every detail. Just imagine the world around you as we go. Quiet streets, dry ground, soft wind. We're going to walk through one day in the life of someone like you, dropped right into the middle of the 1870s, in the middle of the Wild West, and you'll see pretty quickly that it's not a place where most people today could last very long. Chapter 1. Waking up in the west morning begins quietly. The light from the rising sun slips through the wooden slats, painting long pale lines across the dusty floorboards. You're not in a soft bed, but lying on a thin straw mattress, the kind that crackles when you shift your weight, stuffed full of dry stalks that poke through the fabric now and then. The air smells sharp, not fresh or clean, but old and earthy, mixed with smoke from last night's fire, and something faintly sour, like leather and sweat left too long in a dark room. You stretch and feel your joints click, not from old age, but from sleeping on wood and straw, with nothing soft to cushion your bones. There's no glass window to greet the morning, just a square cut in the wall, and a bit of cloth pinned across it, fluttering gently in the dry breeze. You sit up slowly, careful not to wake anyone else in the room, because you're not alone here. You're sleeping shoulder to shoulder with others, maybe your brothers, maybe strangers. There's no privacy, no silence, just the sound of people breathing and the creak of boards as someone else shifts under a blanket nearby. The room holds only what's needed: a shelf with a few tin plates, a bucket of water if you're lucky, a pair of worn boots by the door that you hope are still yours. Your back aches, your neck feels stiff, and your hands are already dirty. Even before the day begins, you press your palms against the floor and feel how cold it is, how the morning air lingers low and sharp near the ground, while your breath rises in faint white wisps. This is how the day begins, not with an alarm clock or soft music, but with aching limbs, dry air, and the quiet weight of another long day ahead. Chapter 2. Breakfast in the wilderness. You rise slowly, wiping your face with the corner of your sleeve, because there is no sink, no mirror, no toothbrush waiting for you. You walk toward the hearth, where the coals from the night before still give off a faint warmth. Someone stirs them with a stick, hoping to wake the fire without using more kindling. The cabin is dim, only touched by the gray morning light creeping in from the door frame. Your stomach growls softly, but breakfast won't be ready for a while. Food is simple here. There's no menu, no choice, just what was left from yesterday. or what could be cooked quickly over the fire beans. Again, maybe some dry biscuits if there's flour left, and always coffee, dark, bitter, boiled long and strong to cover up the taste of the water. You hold the tin cup in both hands, letting the heat warm your fingers, even though the taste bites at your tongue. There's comfort in the routine of it. Nobody speaks much. Words are saved for later, when the work begins. So the sounds of morning are quiet. The shuffle of boots, the scrape of spoons, the quiet clink of tin. If you're lucky, someone brought a bit of salted meat, cut thin and chewy, with more salt than flavor, but it fills the space in your belly. You eat sitting on a crate, or a step, or just crouched near the fire. And when the food is gone, there are no dishes to wash, just a quick rinse from the bucket, and a cloth to wipe your hands outside. The sky is brightening. The air is still cool, but you can feel the heat waiting behind the hills. And soon, it will rise and fall heavy across your shoulders. So you take one last sip. Let the steam rise around your nose and step out into the day, because breakfast is over and the work won't wait. Chapter 3. Clothes and Comfort. Clothing in the Wild West was never about comfort. It was about having something that kept the wind off your skin, something strong enough to last through the dust and the days that wore you thin. You reach for your trousers, the same pair you wore all last week, thick with dust, rough at the seams, the knees faded and patched with cloth that doesn't quite match. Your shirt lies nearby. It's stiff from sweat, the collar curled from heat, and the buttons are barely holding on. You slide it over your head, wincing a little as the fabric scratches your arms. There's no clean stack waiting for you, no drawers to open or shelves to browse, just what's folded in the corner, what still smells a little less than the rest. You step into your boots carefully, hoping nothing crawled inside overnight. The leather is dry and the soles feel thin, but they still hold your steps together. For a woman, dressing takes more time. The layers start early, with cotton worn thin at the edges, corsets laced by another's hands, petticoats that rustle and brush against your ankles, and dresses that trail through the dirt whether you want them to or not. The clothes are heavy, stiff in some places, soft from wear in others, and everything fits just well enough to stay on, not well enough to forget. There's a pinch here, a pull there, but you get used to it, because there's no choice. And when laundry day finally comes, it means bending over buckets of boiling water, scrubbing with soap that leaves your hands raw, wringing out the weight and lifting it into the wind. So most people don't wash often, not because they don't care, but because there's never time, never water to spare, and the clothes will be dirty again before night falls. When you're finally dressed, the sun is a little higher, the dust is already swirling at your feet, and the day is waiting outside the door. You take a slow breath and step into it. Chapter 4. The Smell of the West. The moment you step outside, the air greets you with its dry weight and something else, something stronger. It's not just dust or wind. It's the smell of everything that makes this place what it is. There's the sharp sting of animal sweat, from horses tied out front and oxen resting in the shade, mixed with the muddy scent of droppings that haven't been cleaned in days. A whiff of smoke drifts from a nearby chimney, wood burned low and slow through the night, keeping the cold out but leaving behind the scent of ash and char. There's a sour note in the breeze, maybe from trash thrown behind a building, or something dead lying just out of sight. Because no one picks things up quickly out here. Somewhere nearby, biscuits are being cooked in a skillet over an open flame, the smell warm and heavy, a comfort mixed in with everything else. And underneath it all, the quiet odor of people, not just one or two, but a whole town of bodies, tired and sweating and working under the same sun. Baths are rare, soap is scarce, and water is saved for what matters most. So you breathe through your mouth if you have to, or just get used to it, like everyone else does. Because in the Wild West, the air always carries more than the wind. Chapter 5. The day's work. The sun is climbing now, warming your shoulders as the dust begins to rise in little clouds around your boots. The day's work doesn't wait, and it doesn't slow down for anyone, not out here. If you're a farmer, your hands are already wrapped around the handle of a hoe, or gripping the reins of a plow pulled by tired animals. Carven lines into the hard ground again and again. The soil is dry, full of rocks, and every row takes more effort than the last. The sun watches from above, unblinking, steady, quiet. If you're a ranch hand, you're riding out early, checking fences, guiding cattle that don't always want to be guided, and watching the horizon for signs of rustlers or storms. If you work the mines, your morning starts underground, where the air is heavy and damp, and every echo bounces back like a whisper in the dark. The work is slow, but it never ends. There's always another bucket to lift, another board to hammer, another load to carry. There are no machines to do it for you, no breaks unless you make them. And even then, you keep one ear open for what comes next. Children work too, small hands picking stones from rows of crops, feeding chickens, fetching water from the well that sits half a mile away. And for women, the work is a rhythm that starts before dawn and ends after dark. Cooking, cleaning, mending, sweeping, lifting, always lifting. The sweat comes fast, soaking through your shirt, clinging to your back, leaving marks under your arms, and dirt settles in every crease of your skin. You drink when you can, from a metal cup passed between hands, the water warm but welcome. And when your legs ache, when your back pulls tight with the weight of the day, you still don't stop, because in the Wild West, you work until the sun says you're done, and sometimes even longer than that. Chapter 6. Medicine and Misery. If you fall ill out here, there's no doctor's office with soft chairs, no clinic with clean walls, just a wooden room with a creaky floor and a man who might be a barber or a blacksmith, who also calls himself a doctor. There's no medicine cabinet, no electric lights, no sterile gloves, Only tools kept in a box under the table. Dull scissors, long needles, and a saw with rust along the teeth. If your arm swells up from a cut, they may pour whiskey on it, hold you down, and cut the infected part away. With no anesthesia, only grit and whatever courage you can hold in your hands. A fever might burn for days, and no one knows if it will break or take you away. Some mix herbs and boil roots into tea. Others say prayers and wait through the night. Women giving birth lie on thin beds, gripping the edge with both hands, hoping the child comes quickly, hoping the bleeding stops, because too often it does not. There are no painkillers that work well, just morphine if you're lucky, or alcohol if you're not. And even that runs out fast in small towns where the supply wagon hasn't come in weeks. You hear of people dying from toothaches, from scratches on their legs, from stepping on a nail and not getting better after weeks in bed. Some towns have no one at all, just neighbors doing what they can, passing down stories of what worked before, boiling water, soaking cloth in vinegar, whispering old remedies as the candle burns low, and if it doesn't work, they dig the ground soft and slow and say goodbye with bowed heads, because out here, healing is not science, it is chance. Chapter 7. Weather and Wilderness. The land stretches far in every direction, flat in some places, rocky and sharp in others, and always open to the sky. That sky looks peaceful in the morning, painted soft with pale blues and drifting clouds. But it holds storms that come without warning, rolling fast across the plains. 1 hour, it's calm and still. The next, the wind howls like something alive, whipping dust into your eyes, slamming doors against walls, tearing roofs from cabins that were never built to last lightning forks down from the clouds, striking open ground, splitting trees, setting grass ablaze. Rain comes in sheets, hard and cold, flooding dry paths, turning wagon trails to rivers, washing away anything not tied down in winter. The cold creeps in like a whisper, slipping through every crack in the wall, curling around your feet as you sleep. Snow piles against the door, heavy and silent, and the fire you built last night barely keeps the chill from biting through your blanket. In summer, the heat presses on your back, thick and still, and the water in your bucket warms before you can drink it. There's no shelter beyond what you build, no warning sirens, no forecasts, just eyes on the horizon and a quiet hope that today isn't the day it all comes crashing down. Chapter 8. Dangers on the Trail. When you travel in the Wild West, you carry more than just supplies. You carry hope, fear, and the quiet understanding that the land can turn against you without warning. The trail is never smooth. It winds through hills and across rivers, through canyons where the sun barely reaches, and out into wide stretches of nothing but wind and silence. You watch each step your horse takes, because a single slip could mean a broken leg, and no way to carry your bags. Or yourself. Wagons creak and sway with each rock beneath the wheels. Ropes groan as loads shift and strain. and the dust never settles. It clings to your skin, your teeth, your thoughts. There are animals to watch for, not just the wild ones, though they're out there. Coyotes howling at night, snakes coiled beneath rocks, mountain lions hidden in the brush, but also the ones you ride with, the oxen that might collapse from heat, the horses that can spook at a sudden gust of wind, leaving you walking the rest of the way. Bandits sometimes wait along quiet ridges, men with rifles and empty stomachs, willing to take what you have to fill their own packs. And sometimes, the danger is your own body, worn down by long days and longer nights, sunburned and shivering, with no town in sight and no help coming, but you keep walking, one slow step at a time, because turning back means failure, and forward is the only direction the West will accept. Chapter 9: Nights Without Peace. When the sun dips behind the hills, the world doesn't get quieter, it just changes its rhythm. The heat fades, replaced by the sudden bite of evening chill, and the wind moves a little faster, as if it knows something you don't. Campfires flicker across the plains, small flames in the dark, lighten faces that don't smile much anymore. Not after days like this. The fire keeps the cold back for a while, but not the sounds. Coyotes yipping from far away, the soft rustle of something moving just beyond the firelight. Maybe a raccoon, maybe not. Sleep doesn't come easy, not when your back aches from the saddle, and your belly is still half empty, and your thoughts can't stop spinning. You lie on a bedroll or bare ground, staring at stars that seem too bright to belong to this earth, listening to every snap of a twig, every creak of wood, wondering if tonight will be quiet, or if it's just waiting. The darkness feels thick, like it wraps around your arms and legs, like it wants to hold you in place. Sometimes you hear footsteps, soft and slow, and you grip your rifle with one hand, your breath held tight in your chest. Most nights, it's nothing at all. But in the Wild West, nothing can turn into something fast, and you learn never to ignore the silence. So you rest when you can, eyes half closed, ears always open, and you let the night pass over you like a slow river, because in the West, even the dark has teeth. Chapter 10: The General Store and Town Gossip. The general store smells like wood and dust, like sun-warmed canvas and old tobacco. The bell above the door gives a soft jingle as you walk in, and everything inside feels still, like it's waiting. Shelves made of unfinished pine hold canned goods, worn tools, bundles of cloth, and sacks of grain tied off with twine. Everything has a place, even if nothing looks new. There's a slow hum of voices, not loud, just the low, steady sound of neighbors trading news and coins, swapping stories about who's come into town and who's left without a word. You see a boy carrying a sack of nails, a woman examining thread for a dress she'll sew by hand, an old man asking if coffee has finally come in with the freight wagon behind the counter. The storekeeper leans on one elbow, polishing the same spot for the third time. He's heard every tale this side of the mountains, and his face doesn't change with the telling. You listen, not because you're curious, but because it fills the quiet. News of cattle missing, a stranger passing through, someone's barn that burned in the night without a sound. The light from the front window slants across the floor, catching dust in the air like tiny stars floating in slow motion. And you think maybe, for now, it's nice to be among voices. Chapter 11, The Lonely Walk Home. Evening settles over the town like a blanket, soft and quiet. The sky turning lavender and gold as the last of the sun dips low behind the ridge. You step out of the general store, a paper parcel tucked under your arm, your boots clicking gently on the wooden boardwalk as you head toward the edge of town. The houses grow farther apart, the lights dimmer, until it's just you and the gravel road stretching ahead. The sound of your footsteps and the rustling grass beside the trail. You pass a fence post leaning sideways, a lantern flickering on someone's porch, and the distant call of a night bird that echoes like a memory. Each step takes you closer to the edge of the wild, where trees sway slow in the wind, and the stars begin to shine through the dusky veil above your cabin waits somewhere beyond the next hill, a place where smoke curls slow from the chimney, and the door groans when it opens. But it's yours. You think about the day, the stories you heard, the silence that waits again beyond your window, and you don't rush, because the quiet is part of the journey. And when you reach home and light your single lamp and sit by the stove in a chair worn smooth by years of use, you listen once more to the stillness, because in the Wild West, the night isn't something to fear, it's something to know. Chapter 12, Sundays and Stillness. Not every day in the Wild West is filled with dust and danger. Some are just quiet and slow, like a Sunday morning with nowhere to be. The town doesn't stir much before the sun is high. No wagons clattering, no boots stomping down the boardwalks. Just birds calling from fence posts, and wind moving through the dry grass. You sit on a wooden step outside your door, sipping weak coffee from a tin cup, and watching the dust settle on the road, as if even it has decided to rest. Church bells ring slow and soft from a small white building down the lane, calling folks who wear their best clothes, faded but pressed, to gather and breathe in rhythm. Children chase chickens in the yard, laughing too loud for a day meant for silence. But no one scolds them. Their noise is welcome, like sunlight across a cold table. There's time to mend a shirt, to fix a hinge, to write a letter you might never send. The clock ticks slower on Sunday, and the world feels less wild. You talk with neighbors, not about hardship or danger, but about seeds that grew well, or a pie someone brought by, or how the breeze feels different today. And for a moment, this hard land doesn't feel so heavy because rest is rare out here. And when it comes, it settles deep into your bones. Chapter 13, When the Day Ends. As night returns to the wide frontier, the sky glows dim with the last streaks of gold, and everything begins to hush. The chickens are already roosting, the horses have gone still in their stalls, and the lanterns flicker inside homes like fireflies caught in glass. You close the shutters slow, careful not to wake the wind, and the wooden latch falls into place with a gentle click. Inside, the room holds the quiet warmth of a fading fire and the familiar scent of smoke and pine. You sit in your chair again, the one that creaks only once, and you let your eyes wander over the same old walls, where shadows stretch like tired arms. There's no music, but your thoughts play soft tunes of the day behind you, the dusty roads, the echo of boots on planks, the rustle of your coat as you walked home. You breathe deep and let the silence fill the corners, because the West doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just waits, patient and endless. And as your eyes grow heavy and the stars lean close above the roof, you drift toward sleep, held gently by the land that never sleeps. Chapter 14. Stories by the Fire. The fire crackles gently, tiny sparks dancing upward into the dark like fireflies trying to return to the stars. You sit cross-legged on the rug, hands wrapped around a mug that's long since gone cold, and someone begins to speak, their voice soft and steady, like boots pressing slow into fresh snow. They don't raise their voice. No drama or flair, just a slow unwinding of words, like thread pulled from a spool, and it wraps around the room like a warm quilt. It's a story about the man who once lived 2 doors down, a prospector with a silver tooth and a dog named Mud, who once found gold but lost the map. Or maybe it's the one about the mail rider who vanished in a blizzard and whose letter pouch was found years later, still sealed, with a love note never read. These are the kinds of stories that don't make it into books, but live on in quiet corners, passed down between sips of coffee and nods of memory. Someone else adds to it, a wrinkle in the tale, a different version, and no one argues, because out here, truth is often less important than the telling. The wind shifts outside, brushing the cabin walls like a hand on old paper, and the fire leans with it, flaring for a moment before curling inward again. You hear laughter, not loud, not sharp, but the kind that hums low in the chest and fades into the wood grain. A kettle whistles gently. Someone rises slowly to fetch it. Every movement calm. No one in a hurry because time doesn't move fast in this room. The chairs creak, the fire sighs, and the story continues. Maybe now it's about a horse that wouldn't cross the river, but returned every morning to the same spot, waiting for its rider who never came home, or the widow who kept her porch light burning every night for 40 years. Long after the war ended, just in case. The room glows golden, shadows soft and sleepy, stretching along the floor like cats basking in warmth. Someone hums quietly, a tune older than memory, and it weaves between the stories, holding them together like stitches in a patchwork. No one interrupts, no one checks the time, because these stories aren't told to be finished. They're told to be felt. You lean your head back, eyes half closed, and let the voices wash over you, like river water over smooth stones outside. The moon climbs slow above the trees, pulling night gently across the land like a wool blanket. Inside, the stories go on. Chapter 15. A Quiet Good Night. The last log in the fire glows low, its light flickering soft across the faces in the room, some already dozing, others just watching the flames. The kettle has stopped whistling. The mugs sit empty. And even the dog curled by the hearth no longer twitches in its dreams. You stand slowly, your joints stiff from stillness, and stretch in the quiet way people do when words would feel too loud. One by one, people begin to rise, nodding silent goodnights, not rushed, just slowly unraveling from the circle of warmth. The floor creaks under soft steps. The door clicks gently as someone leaves. And outside, the air is colder, but calm. The sky above is full of stars, more than you remember seeing before, and they seem to hang lower here, almost close enough to brush with a hand. The wind carries the scent of pine and smoke, and far off, a coyote calls once, then silence again. You return to your own cabin, where the coals from earlier still give off a dim glow, and the quilt waits folded on your bed. You sit a while longer, just listening to the night breathe, the slow inhale and exhale of a world gone quiet. Your boots come off with a soft scrape. Your coat drapes gently over a chair, and your head finds the pillow with a weight that says you've earned this rest. The sounds of the day are gone now, replaced by stillness that feels like being held. You don't think of tomorrow or yesterday, only this moment, this night, this breath. As your eyes begin to close, the last light fades from the hearth, and the quiet wraps around you like something soft and sure. Sleep comes slowly, but completely, like dusk falling over a wide plain, and in that sleep, the stories stay with you, like stars that don't blink out, but keep watch, long after the fire goes cold. Chapter 16. The morning after. Morning doesn't always arrive with the sun. Sometimes it drifts in quietly, on the breath of the wind, or the creak of a shutter, or the soft thud of boots on packed dirt. The fire from last night is little more than a memory now, a pile of ash and one last smoldering ember. And the cabin feels colder because of it. You stretch beneath the quilt, slow and stiff, and watch the light creep in through the chinks in the wall, the golden kind of light that takes its time, warming one floorboard at a time. There is no alarm, no schedule, just the rhythm of another day unfolding, and it unfolds gently. You dress slowly, each piece of clothing layered with memory, a mended shirt from a summer 2 years past, boots with dust from trails long behind you, a hat that still smells faintly of campfire smoke. The kettle is filled and set over the fire pit, the water slow to boil, but the sound of it beginning is enough to make you feel like the day is already beginning to soften. The first sip of coffee is bitter and strong and familiar, and the cup warms your hands in a way that feels more important than the drink itself. Outside, the sky is wide and clean. Birds sweep across it in slow arcs, and everything moves like a hymn played on a dusty piano. You walk to the barn, not with purpose, but because that's what mornings are for out here. Walking, checking, feeding the quiet things that depend on your hands. The chickens cluck and fuss, but it's the kind of fuss that means they're alive and well. And the old horse in the stall snorts a cloud of breath into the morning chill. You whisper to him like you always do, not because he answers, but because it feels right to speak into the stillness. There's a rhythm to mucking the stall, to throwing hay into the trough, to brushing down a coat rough from the cold night. It isn't fast work, and it isn't hard. It's just what needs doing. And out here, that's often all the reason you need. You walk back to the cabin with your boots scraping soft against the earth. Not a sound you'd notice in a city, but here it sounds like something real. Chapter 17. The Long Walk. Some days stretch out ahead of you like an old road, winding and dusty, with no sign of where it ends, and no promise of what waits at the other side. Today is one of those days, a walking day, the kind where your legs lead and your thoughts follow far behind. The morning is pale and quiet. Dew still clings to the tall grass, and each step crunches gently over gravel and broken twigs. You carry only a small pack, a canteen, and the weight of nothing urgent, just the rhythm of walking. 1 foot, then the next. The trail is not marked, not carved or cleared. It's just a path worn by boots before yours, and those before them, and so on, until it became something close to a map. Trees sway overhead, slow and tall, casting shifting shadows that dance with the rising light. The sun doesn't push through quickly. It waits. Like everything else out here, you pass a fence post leaning at an angle, with a rusty horseshoe nailed into the wood. Maybe a marker, maybe just a story left behind. Either way, it stays in your mind long after you pass it. A creek babbles gently to your right, the water skipping over smooth stones, inviting you to sit for a while. So you do, taking off your boots, dipping your feet. The cold rushes up your spine, but you don't pull away. You find a flat stone and let it warm in your palm, then place it back in the water, watching it vanish beneath the surface like a thought you're ready to forget. A bird sings overhead, not a song you recognize, but it echoes clean and high through the trees. You close your eyes and listen, not for the meaning, just for the sound. You keep walking, past an old sign nailed to a tree, its paint long gone, but the wood still holds the shape of someone's message, unreadable now, but not invisible. The path opens into a clearing where the grass grows wild and waist-high. You wade through it slowly, letting your hands brush the seed heads, and you feel like a boat drifting through green water at the far end. A cabin leans against the trees, weathered and tired, but standing. You knock once, not expecting an answer, and none comes. But the stillness welcomes you anyway inside. Dust glows in the sunlight through broken slats. A chair with one leg shorter than the others sits in the corner, and a pair of boots rest under the window. Small. Maybe a child's. You sit for a while, letting the quiet do the talking, and wonder who built this place, how long ago, and how long they stayed. The wind picks up, sliding between the boards. It carries a dry scent, like sage and old leather, and you breathe it in like memory when you leave. You don't look back. Some places are better kept in the corner of your eye. Soft and distant the trail goes on, weaving between tall rocks and crooked pines. And you follow it, not for the destination, but because walking is the closest thing to peace you've found. Chapter 18. The old crossing, the land flattens as you walk, and the sky opens wide, stretching from one horizon to the next, like a great canvas washed in soft blue. With clouds drifting slow like ships on a sleeping sea ahead is the river, broad and brown, moving like a giant animal, not fast, but full of quiet power. It murmurs over rocks and around fallen branches. Carving its path without hurry, a wooden bridge spans the narrowest point. Its planks uneven, some cracked, some missing, but still holding you step onto it carefully, feeling each board shift under your weight, the sound of wood against boot echoing above the water beneath you. Fish dart in the shallows, their silver scales catching the light like old coins. And for a moment, you wonder how many people have crossed here before you, how many stories passed over this same stretch. A faded ribbon is tied to the railing, green once, now sun-bleached and fraying. Maybe a farewell, maybe a marker, maybe just a memory that refused to let go. You pause at the center and lean on the rail, watching the current pull twigs and leaves downstream, carrying pieces of the world toward somewhere you'll never see. The other side of the river is quieter. Even the trees seem softer, their branches lower, as if bowing to welcome you. The ground is muddy. Your boots sink slightly with each step, but the path is still clear. Worn by time and passage, you come to a grove of cottonwoods, their white bark like bone in the morning sun, and sit beneath them, listening to the breeze rustle their leaves like pages in a book. No one reads anymore. A fire pit, long cold, sits at the edge of the clearing, ringed with stones and the faint smell of smoke. A circle of stories now forgotten. Someone carved initials into one of the trunks. 2 letters joined by a crooked heart. And below it, the year 1856. You reach out and trace it with your finger, feeling the indentations left by a blade, and the spaces time has worn smooth nearby. A tin can rusts quietly under a pile of fallen branches, and beside it, a spoon bent almost flat. Both relics from a moment that once mattered greatly to someone. You sit back and watch the sky through the branches. Clouds curling into shapes you almost recognize. The kind that make you forget where you are. For a moment, your canteen is nearly empty, but you drink the last few sips slowly, savoring the way the cool water tastes like river and air and metal in the distance. Thunder rolls once, low and long, but the sky above remains calm, as if the storm is just a reminder, not a promise. The day stretches on, the light turning golden as the sun begins its slow descent. Shadows lengthen across the grass, and the river reflects orange and pink like a painting left to dry. You cross back over the bridge, slower this time, and when you reach the other side, you stop for a while, not ready to end the walk. Not yet. The world feels suspended, like breath held at the edge of a thought, and you stay there, in that quiet, with only the wind to keep you company. Chapter 19. A letter never sent the day is quiet again, not because nothing is happening, but because everything is happening slowly, with care, with space for breath and thought and silence. You sit at a wooden table near the window, the light angled just so, soft and gold, touching your hands as they move across paper, the kind of light that feels like a blanket, warm and slow, reminding you of mornings long ago. The ink flows gently from the nib of your pen, each letter unfolding like a leaf in spring, slow, curling, patient. No hurry to form a word, no rush to become a sentence. The paper is rough, thick with fiber, the kind that holds the weight of words, even if they're never read, the kind of paper that feels like it's listening, like it will keep the story safe even if the story is forgotten outside. The wind moves through the grass, like someone brushing their fingers over the land, reminding it that it's still here, still listening. The tall blades bend and sway, whispering quietly to one another. The sky above them soft and endless. You write, dear sister, even though you know she may never read it, even though the letter may never leave this cabin, because the act of writing is the important part, not the receiving. The words are for her, but they are also for you. I hope the sea is calm today, you write. I hope the gulls still follow the boats, and the bread still smells like honey in the morning. I hope you smile more than you cry. I hope your hands are warm, and the cat still curls in your lap. When the wind rises, you pause, the pen hovering, catching a small drop of ink before it falls. And then you write about the place around you, the cabin, the fence that leans left, the sound of the windmill turning, the way the floorboards hum when the night is cold. You tell her about the horse with the crooked ear, and the barn cat that won't let you pet it, about the man in town who wears his boots on the wrong feet and swears it's better that way. You describe the grocer who always hums to himself when he counts beans, and the child who talks to birds like they're old friends